Millions have searched for it. Some died looking. Nobody has ever found it. Right now, as you watch this video, over $1 billion in gold, silver, and priceless artifacts is sitting somewhere on Earth, completely untouched, just waiting to be found. We aren't talking about a fairy tale. This isn't a movie plot. This is a real historical fortune. It belonged to the richest empire of its time. But here's the craziest part. We actually know exactly where it was lost. We know who took it. We even know the path they walked. Yet for over 200 years, it has completely vanished off the face of the earth. Today, you and I are going into the dark history of the world's greatest missing treasure. We will uncover the bloody betrayal that caused it to disappear and look at the exact location where it's likely hiding right now. To understand how $1 billion just walks away, we have to go back to the year 1820. Imagine living in Lima, Peru. At this exact moment in history, Lima was the crown jewel of the Spanish Empire in South America. For 300 years, the Spanish had been stripping the continent of its absolute finest riches. We are talking about solid gold statues of saints, monstrances encrusted with thousands of pure emeralds, chests overflowing with silver coins. The city was literally bursting at the seams with wealth. But then panic hit the streets. A massive revolution was sweeping across South America. José de San Martín, a legendary rebel leader, was marching his army straight toward Lima. His goal? Wipe out the Spanish elite and reclaim the land. Suddenly, the wealthiest people in the city realized something terrifying. Their stone walls couldn't protect them anymore. If San Martín captured the city, every single ounce of their gold would be gone. So the Viceroy of Lima came up with a desperate, secret plan. He decided to move the entire wealth of the city out of Peru until the revolution blew over. He gathered the city's nobility, the church leaders, and the royal treasury. They packed everything into heavy wooden crates. But they needed a ship they could trust to guard the ultimate fortune. Enter Captain William Thompson. He was the commander of a high-end British merchant ship named the Mary Dear. To the Spanish lords, Thompson looked like the perfect gentleman, a reliable, professional sailor. They hired him for the ultimate transport job. For days, a non-stop line of guards loaded the Mary Dear. They carried 113 gold religious statues. They packed 200 chests of pure jewels. They stacked thousands of silver ingots. In total, the cargo was worth over $1 billion in today's money. The Spanish were terrified of pirates, so they didn't just trust Thompson alone. They placed 6 heavily armed Spanish guards and several wealthy passengers on board to watch the gold every second. The ship set sail, heading for the safe harbor of Mexico. But imagine being Captain Thompson. You are standing at the helm of your ship. Just a few feet beneath your boots, in the dark cargo hold, is enough wealth to buy an entire country. Greed does crazy things to the human mind. A few nights into the voyage, Thompson and his crew snapped. They couldn't take it anymore. The temptation was simply too high. In the dead of night, while the ocean roared around them, the crew slipped through the shadows. They grabbed knives and cutlasses. Before the guards or passengers could even scream, the crew slit their throats. Every single Spanish official was murdered in cold blood and tossed into the Black Ocean. The Mary Dear was no longer a merchant ship. It was a pirate vessel, and Captain Thompson was now the most wanted man on Earth. Now, Thompson had a massive problem. He had the gold, but he couldn't just sail into a regular port. The moment anyone saw a British merchant ship packed with Spanish church gold, the crew would be thrown into a noose. They needed to hide the treasure, fast. Thompson pointed his ship toward a tiny uninhabited speck of rock in the Pacific Ocean, a place called Cocos Island. If you look at Cocos Island on a map today, it looks like a paradise. But back then, it was a nightmare. It is covered in razor-sharp cliffs, dense, suffocating jungle, and it rains almost every single day. It was the perfect natural vault. The crew rowed heavy longboats back and forth from the ship to the island. They dragged the heavy wooden chests through the thick mud. They hauled the solid gold statues up slippery slopes. According to old records, they found a deep, hidden cave system buried inside the island's jungle. They stacked the fortune inside, covered the entrance with rocks and dirt, and made a pact. They would lay low for a few years, let the heat die down, Then they would return, split the billion-dollar prize, and live like kings. But the universe had other plans. Just as the Mary Deer tried to sail away from the island, a massive Spanish warship appeared on the horizon. The Spanish authorities had realized the gold never arrived in Mexico, and they had been hunting Thompson down like a dog. The pirate ship was captured instantly. The crew was put on trial, found guilty of piracy, and sentenced to hang. Except for two people, Captain Thompson and his first mate. The Spanish commanders weren't stupid. They knew the gold wasn't on the ship. They knew it was hidden on that island. So they made a deal with Thompson. "Lead us to the cave and we will spare your life." Thompson agreed. The warship sailed back to Cocos Island, and the guards marched Thompson and his mate into the thick jungle. But Thompson was a master manipulator. He waited for the absolute perfect moment. As they walked deeper into the dense, tangled undergrowth, a thick fog rolled in. Suddenly, Thompson shouted. He and his mate bolted into the brush, scattering in two different directions. The Spanish soldiers fired their muskets into the trees. They searched for days. They tore through the bushes, but the jungle was too thick. The two pirates had completely vanished. Eventually, the Spanish ran out of food and water. They had to give up. They sailed away, leaving the two men stranded on the island. Months later, a Canadian whaling ship stopped at Cocos Island to gather fresh water. They found Thompson and his mate starving, half insane but alive. The pirates lied. They told the rescuers they were shipwrecked sailors. The captain believed them and gave them a ride back to safety. Years passed. The first mate died of a tropical disease. Thompson grew old, living a quiet life in Newfoundland, Canada. He never had the money to buy his own ship to go back for his treasure. On his deathbed, Thompson broke his silence. He handed a crude, hand-drawn map to his only trusted friend, a man named John Keating. Thompson whispered his final words. "The cave is real. The treasure is there." John Keating actually went to the island, and according to his own journals, he found it. He claimed he walked into the cave and stood surrounded by mountains of glittering gold. He managed to smuggle a few handfuls of jewels back to his ship without his crew noticing. But when he tried to organize a second trip, his crew mutinied, and he barely escaped with his life. He died without ever getting the rest of it. Since then, Cocos Island has turned into an obsession for treasure hunters across the globe. Even a future president of the United States fell under its spell. In 1910, a young Franklin D. Roosevelt traveled to the island with his friends just to look for the treasure of Lima. They found absolutely nothing. Over 500 different expeditions have landed on Cocos Island. People have brought ground-penetrating radar. They've used industrial metal detectors. They've even blasted dynamite into the hillsides, destroying the natural landscape. But today, the game has completely changed, and this is why the treasure is still missing. The government of Costa Rica owns Cocos Island now. They realized that treasure hunters were destroying the ecosystem, so they turned the entire island into a national park. Today, it is heavily guarded by the military. It is completely illegal to step foot on the island with a shovel, a metal detector, or a camera. If you try to dig there, you will be thrown into a federal prison. So the billion-dollar question remains, is the treasure of Lima still sitting in that dark cave? Some historians think John Keating secretly took more than he admitted. Others think the shifting earth and landslides have buried the cave entrance under hundreds of feet of solid rock forever. But think about it. Somewhere out there, right now, a solid gold statue of a saint is sitting in total darkness. It has been waiting there for over 200 years, just a few miles away from where modern tour boats pass by every single week. The greatest treasure in human history isn't a myth. It's real, and it's hiding in plain sight. If you could magically get permission to search Cocos Island for one day, would you take the risk? Let me know in the comments below. If you love this deep dive into history's greatest secrets, make sure to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to keep sending these stories your way. And don't forget to subscribe, because in our next video, we are uncovering the hidden vault beneath the Sphinx that the government doesn't want you to know about. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching and stay curious.